Hello everybody and welcome to the British Barman. My name's Andy Kirby and tonight I'm going to create some clear ice for the use in things like old fashions and things like that. You can do long ones and put them in Collins glasses, and I'm using a technique which is called Directional Freezing. So you have a picnic or an ice box like this. You take the lid off, you fill it with water, either bottled water, tap water, whatever, and the nature of ice is that all the particles that are in it freeze last. So the top of the box where it's put in your freezer, the water freezes first there and forces all the impurities down to a lower part of the tub, so what's left is clear ice, hopefully, touch wood. Now, as you might be able to see it, but underneath about an inch or 2 inches of water, of the ice, there's still water. So what we need to do is it's called tempering it, but you let that ice come up to a bit of temperature, otherwise up to room temperature, otherwise it cracks. But that does mean you get quite a lot of water come out of it when you do it, so I'm going to tip it over. I'm going to use the draining board to tip it onto the draining board in front of me. And then there's holes in the ice, and you can just let that water, you can just let that water pour out. Making a real mess in the kitchen, but there you go. It is clean water, so let that pour all of that water out until you've got just a block of ice left. And I've been told by a few people that I tend to stick my tongue out when I'm making a video, so I must try and stop it because it's not very pleasant, but there you go, I'll try my best. So this ice here is effectively hollow, this piece. So I just chop away at these. Now what I use a serrate. This is a knife I got from a hardware shop, which is normally used for cutting limbs off of trees and things like that, but it's quite good. I find it quite useful so far. I am quite new to this, so there are different techniques which I haven't learned yet, but I'm willing to learn as I go along. So what I'm doing is cutting the ice that contained the water, cutting those bits off first. That'll leave me with the clear bit at the bottom. Then you have to let the ice temper a bit, which is just come to temperature, otherwise it cracks. And what you want to try and do is follow the lines around so that you have a nice even cut. But like I say, it is ice, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but do your best. And the theory behind this clear ice is that it takes longer to defrost, so if you put it into your old-fashioned, you don't get the dilution that you would if you just use the cloudy ice. And it's a bit of fun. Just be really careful because you are using sharp knives and you do have slippery ice in your hand. So what I'll try and do is make that incision right the way around. Now I've got myself an ice pick, a 3-pronged ice pick, and then you can see those sort of hollow ice. Save those bits of ice though, because they're really good for shaking. So when you do shaking cocktails, these bits of ice are really good for that. You can see that what was the hollow bit just breaks away quite easy. So I'll just carry on doing that for a second. Oops. So it does make a bit of a mess, but you can either do it on the draining board or do it in a container of some sort of, but it is only just water, so you can just wipe it up afterwards. So hopefully you can see how clear that ice is. And what I'm just going to do is get a cloth a minute to dry my hands. some of that water. And then what I use is a serrated edged old bread knife. Just chip away at these, try and get the edge square. So chip away at those bits. Let's just make it easier when we're cutting the rest of the ice. Now this water, I put it into the tub yesterday about 11 o'clock last night, and I've taken it out the freezer at about 7 o'clock this evening, so it's had it's had about 20 hours in the freezer. If you leave it too much longer than that, it does freeze right the way through, but what you tend to get is a bit more cloudy water. That's from my experience anyway. I don't know if that's what the science is behind that, but that's what I found. So the next thing to do is to cut it into shape. Now, so what I was looking at doing is probably cutting this into 3 or 4 rectangles. So again, like you did when we were cutting the dry bit off, the hollow bit of ice that contained the water, just score round your block. Try and put your tongue away. Try and keep the lines in so that they match each other, so it should cut more evenly. There you go, cut your block. No guarantee, but like I say, at the end of the day, it's only ice. And then, hang on, just line those two up. What this does really, it just gives it a bit of a score, so that when you go to break it, now try this. So it's a serrated bread knife and a mallet from the Lewis bag, and there you end up with a nice break, nice clean break. Square up those edges again. And try another one. Only when you start watching these videos back, you realise the little foibles that you have, like sticking your tongue out when you're concentrating, or lots and lots of hand movement. Now, a bit of an explanation as to why I really got into cocktails. Earlier this year, I had quite a bad bout of COVID, and it's thanks to a few YouTube videos that kept me going while I was in isolation. But and I was watching Anders Ericsson do his cocktail videos, and the Educated Barfly and Steve the Bartender. Really wonderful videos to watch. So please check them out. And the last one. Oops. The more that ice gets the temperature, the more it's tempered. It feels like it's easier to cut. Now that might just be me being an illusion, but it might crack in a minute for having said that, but that's how it feels at the minute. Oops. Screw all the way around. There. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's pretty good. And like I say, you can see how clear that ice is. When you put that in a drink, it'll almost disappear. Now, depending on the size of your rocks glass or whatever, you want to try and get these fairly so that they'll fit into your rocks glass. I'll just do this one block, and then we'll call it a day with a video then. because you'll all be fed up with watching me carve ice. And then the next time I do an ice video, we'll see what we can do about trying to make a nice ball, which just means shaving these down to a different size really. And I'm going to do an old-fashioned cocktail in a couple of weeks, so you'll see these ice cubes going into that. So hopefully the last couple of taps, and then you've got a lovely square ice cube. It just looks fancy. I don't know whether the science is true, whether it does melt slower, I don't know, but they really look nice, and it's a nice little party piece. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe below, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.